Good morning, everyone, and welcome for this new episode of How to Connect Cubbit with your QNAP and Synology solution, the second episode of this 2024. So, as always, we're going to wait a couple of minutes just to give you everyone the opportunity to join us. And in the meanwhile, I would say me and Tommaso are just going to share a couple of information, useful information. For example, as you know, Thursdays have been baptized as the weekly date we have for, demo and webinars in general. So if you have any idea or any suggestions for new topics that you would like to cover with us in the following weeks, please share them with us. Of course, we are always more than welcome to accept your new ideas and suggestions, and of course to create a useful content to share with you. What do you think, Tommaso, about it?
Really nice, Mariangela. Let me present myself. I'm Tommaso Bacconi. I work as a full stack developer in Cubbit. And today I'm going to show you a small demo, actually two use cases, so two demos of how you can integrate your NAS with the Cubbit. One is a Synology and the other one is a QNAP. We're going to see two use cases. One is a standard backup and the other one is a hybrid cloud solution. But we're going into that later.
Of course, it's gonna be for sure, as always, very interesting. I'll always try to remind you that, of course, you're gonna receive this demo afterwards in your emails, and you will be able to find them all together, of course, on our website. Later on, Marco, that is our colleague helping us backstage, will share with you all the useful links to, of course, recover these demos and webinars. So I think 2 minutes has passed. I would say we can start at this point. Let's start. You already introduced yourself, so I'm gonna introduce myself. I'm Mariangela Pretelli. Nice to meet you, everyone. I'm a cloud strategy consultant at Cubbit, and I'm basically responsible for the B2B development of Cubbit in Italy. So today, as we said, we are gonna demonstrate for you how to connect your QNAP or Synology with Cubbit to basically create an additional backup layer and doing so without basically paying any extra fees. We are gonna see it later on with Tommaso. But before going there, I just want to give for all of you who maybe don't know Cubbit yet, just a quick overview to Cubbit's technology and Cubbit's world, of course. So, who's Cubbit? First of all, Cubbit is an Italian company. We were born in 2016, and of course, since then we grew a lot. As you can see in this slide, many investors throughout the years decided to join us. Just to give you a quick of a couple of examples. Azimuth and the European Commissions both decided to help us with our development. What I would like to really make you understand in this very brief overview is to show you where Cubbit is totally similar to any other object storage solution from the one hand, and from the other, where we are instead different and completely innovative. As many of you, of course, already know, Cubbit is an object storage S3 compatible solution. And therefore, if you already know other object storage solution, for example, AWS S3, of course, is the most well-known on the market, you basically already know how Cubbit works. I would say the most used use case as of today is definitely a backup solution. So our clients as of today are using Cubbit as a second or third backup layer, connecting it with either their QNAP or Synology, as we're going to see today, but also, of course, it could be completely okay to connect it with either your Vim or your Commvault or literally any other client S3 compatible that you are already using within your company. Of course, as I said, the backup solution is the most used use case as of today, but definitely not the only one. I will remind you one more time, Cubbit is, again, a storage solution. So wherever you can connect an S3 storage service, you can connect Cubbit. So again, just to give you two examples that we noticed are becoming more and more interesting for our clients as of today. Cubbit can also be used as a repository for your logging in connection, for example, with the Elastic solution, as you can see in this slide, or again for big data with Splunk, for example. In any case, once you connected Cubbit with these clients, you will be able to unlock all the different S3 features you already know. So here we just put some of them, for example, of course, versioning, or the object locking solution to make your data immutable and therefore, of course, protected towards ransomware. You will be able to create expiration link or set ACL or IAM policies to manage your files and your folders, of course, and all the others you already know. As I said already, if you know an object storage solution on the market, you already know how Cubbit works. So where are we different? Where are we innovative? Of course, many of you already know it. This difference, this innovation, lies in our infrastructure. Indeed, Cubbit doesn't have centralized data centers to work with. It instead created a geo-distributed cloud that works on peer-to-peer connection within your national boundaries. We're gonna see together with Tommaso later on how this works, of course, better. But just to give you a very quick idea, whenever you're connected Cubbit, for example, with QNAP or Synology or Vim or all the others, as we already said, what will happen is that Cubbit will first of all encrypt your data, then it will split your data into chunks. We will make them redundant, and then we are gonna distribute them within all the thousand of nodes we have, again, within your national boundaries. So from the one hand, as we said, this distributed system, this distributed network, it gives us the same exact service you already know. From the other hand, thanks, of course, to the distribution, we are able to unlock many different competitive advantages. I'm gonna just give you again a very brief idea of those, but as we said already, you're gonna receive these slides and everything later on in your email. But again, just to see them together very briefly. First of all, the first competitive advantage is savings. So compared to the hyperscalers, compared to AWS, to Azure, all the others you already know, we estimate to be able to cut your cost up to 80%. This, of course, is because we don't have centralized data centers, and because of that, we are able to give you a flat offering that already includes all the different voices of cost that usually you will have to calculate using, for example, the famous calculators, difficult calculators you already know online. So just to give you an idea, cost of egress is already included, of course, to restore your data. For example, usually it's a very significant voice of your invoices. Or again, being a distributed cloud means that we are already as resilient as, for example, any multi-region service that you would use with other cloud providers, of course. Or, of course, we also help you to set up your infrastructure. And of course, we are there to help you for any possible question you might have, which, of course, include that in this cost is also included the technical support in your language. The second competitive advantage is security. For those of you who knew Cubbit from before, security has always been the with the capital T competitive advantage that Cubbit makes himself proud of. This is actually the reason why we already work with more than 250 companies in Italy, including, for example, Leonardo. we published very recently the collaboration with them. For Leonardo, for those of you who don't know them, is the public defense company in Italy. So of course we are very proud of this collaboration with them. The third competitive advantage is digital sovereignty. As we said already, all your data are stored within your national boundaries. And of course, because of that, we also have all the possible certifications that you might need. So of course, GDPR, CCPA, we are all ISO, of course, compliant, and all the possible certification also to work with the public sector. Lastly, not for importance, sustainability. Being a distributed cloud, it means that we are not only able to cut the energy cost, but because of that, of course, we cut your cost in general, but also the CO2 emissions. Last slide of my list is this, just to give you a very brief idea of and some examples of the companies already working with us. As I said, more than 250. It's a mix of public companies, private companies, big companies, or small companies. Indeed, the storage is a need very horizontal to different types of companies. We would like very much to better understand also your needs. So later on in the comments, as I said, Marco will share with you also a link to book with us, with our team, one-to-one meeting to better understand also your environment and to see if actually Cubbit could be a fit. But without further ado, I will just remind you that for any curiosity or any question you might have, we are also going to have a Q&A session at the end of this demo. And yeah, without further ado, now I think I will give the stage to Tommaso for our technical part of this demo. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mariangela. Clear as always. Now let's give you an overview of the Cubbit infrastructure works before see the actual demo. I just want to introduce a couple of points. As Mariangela was saying, we don't rely on data center, but instead we have this peer-to-peer network of cells, of nodes that we call swarm. And these nodes talk to each other with a peer-to-peer protocol, which is translated in a S3 request through our S3 gateway. That's the reason why we are out of the box compatible with all these S3 integrations and software that you can find around. On top of that, we have our coordinator, which is a complex entity made of a lot of services, which purpose is to monitor the status of the swarm and also maintain databases and other data necessary to the uptime of our service. Okay, that was just a quick overview. I will just go with the demo starting from the Synology. Let me add the video on the stage. Here it is. Just to show you how many layers we can reach, the NES is a very good solution if you want to have the data near your position and have it accessible like really quickly. In this case, we have this Synology client which synchronizing some files on this Windows machine. So, for example, if we try to edit a file on this folder, which is synchronized by the client, we will see the very same file updated on the NES. Let's just put a random line in this file. Let's save it. And then let's see on the Synology, from the web interface of the Synology, if something changed. Okay, let's just navigate to the file in the folder. Let's try to open it, and here it is the updated line. So that's how to show you how quick the NES is to access your workspace and stuff. What we want to do here is to save all the content of the Synology to an external cloud, to a public cloud. Of course, in this case, the public cloud is a Cubbit. This is the Cubbit web console. It's a place where you can do some basic stuff, some S3 operations like upload, download. You can handle the identity access management, so users and policies. You can share a private link and handle API keys. And from here, to start our backup, we need to create a bucket. From the form, we need to prompt a name that must be unique for the entire Cubbit ecosystem. We will just keep object lock and versioning for this time, but we have plenty of documentation and video on how great are these features. And let's just submit the form. Okay, we created a bucket. And now from the Synology, we can create our backup task. The backup destination must be an S3 storage, and by default, Amazon S3 selected, but we need to target Cubbit, of course, so we will just prompt a custom server URL. We can either choose from v2 and v4 signature version. Either request virtual-host style and path style are fine. The difference is just on how you want to specify the bucket path. And then we're going to need a pair of keys in order to grant permission to the Synology to read and write on the bucket. Those keys can be created from here. From the sidebar, we can click on API keys, click on Create API keys. We can rename it, of course, and then copy the access and the secret in the proper fields. If the keys are correct, we are granted the possibility to list the buckets and select the bucket we just created. We can go ahead, click Next. In the next screen, we are asked which folder we want to backup. Of course, we can possibly backup the entire volume, but we will just backup one specific folder for the time being. And click Next. We're asked if you want to backup some application. We're not interested in this time. And then in the backup settings, we can prompt a name for the task and decide some configuration. For example, we could enable the task notification. We could enable the compression of the data, and also the encryption for the transfer, and also the client-side encryption. Down below, there is a checkbox. We could decide the part size of the multi-part upload. The multi-part upload is an interesting feature of S3 that leverages on the parallelization. So by default, it splits the file into chunks and transfers them in parallel. So the lower is the part size, the more you leverage on the parallelization and more bandwidth you get to consume. Here we can decide a schedule. Maybe we want to run this task at Saturday evening when the consumption of bandwidth is not so high, and that pretty easy. So we can go ahead. In this screen, we can enable the backup rotation. It's sort of versioning that the Hyper Backup puts in place. The Hyper Backup is the software that we are using to backup from the Synology. And how does it work? Hyper Backup just create a snapshot, so a situation in time of your machine every time you do a backup. And then it splits the files into chunks. And when you perform a backup, the Hyper Backup will just upload the different chunks from the last backup. So this is done in order to save bandwidth, of course. And when you enable a rotation, you are discarding the oldest the oldest snapshot and the oldest file chunks associated to it. And of course, here you can see the window of time graphically, and then decide when you want to discard the oldest version, because you won't need it again probably. In this phase, we're not going to enable it, since we just want to perform a backup once and just get it done without any other versioning feature. So we can proceed and click Done. Hyper Backup will do some configuration, and then probably we are done with the wizard. We are asked if we want to backup immediately. Yes, we do. And we will see the status of the backup, starting with waiting and then going into a loading phase. In this case, we are backing up 22 gigabytes of folders, so not so many, but it's just for demo purposes. Once it's done, we can navigate our console and see what changed. So this is our bucket. Inside, we see that we have some folders, some files. We can find here the files as they are on the NAS, of course, because this is a backup. Here there are chunks and indexes. So if we want to recover some files, some specific files, we have to do it through the Hyper Backup tool. So let's, for example, let's assume that we lost a folder. And that could be a result of a ransomware, of an accidental deletion, everything. For now, for the demo, we are just deleting a folder. We want to restore it. So let's click on the restore symbol, data. Backup Synology demo is our backup. We are asked if you want to restore also some system configuration. We can restore from here users and file network and other stuff. Maybe we lost the entire machine, we want to recover everything. In this demo, we just want to recover a single folder that we're going to select, dive deep in the tree. From the timeline, we could select a previous backup, a previous snapshot, but of course we didn't enable rotation, so we just have one. So let's select the folder. This is the summary. And here from this screen, we can see the restoring process happening. And the folder is just a 6 megabyte of files, but could be very important files nevertheless. So let's just wait for it to end, and then let's check if we did recover it successfully. It could take not more than a minute to restore, usually 6 megabytes of a folder. Okay, the restore succeeded, so we can navigate back to the file station in our workspace. Let's close the wizard first and refresh the list. Okay, by refreshing the list, we can see that we did recover the folder. So everything went back to the status previous to the folder deletion. And that's it. That's how Hyper Backup basically works. So we backup the entire folder, delete one of the inner folders, and restore it. And that's a standard backup, probably a backup that you already saw with other agents, with other software. In the second use case, we are going to do a slightly different things. Here we are on a QNAP, and we are going to use this tool, really interesting, called Hybrid Mount. Hybrid Mount will allows us to leverage on the power of hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud is something that is mixing up a private and public cloud, making it hard to understand which file is saved where. Usually, it's like extending your NAS with an object storage. The configuration of this tool is similar, of course, in this first phase to the configuration of the Synology. We still need some keys in order to access the public cloud. And we're going to prompt the Cubbit server address, and of course, ICE3 compatible service. From here, we can select a bucket that I've already created. It's called hybrid-mount-demo, the part size, etc. And then we can decide the frequency in which we want the tool to update the status of the machine with the remote, so our public cloud. I will just put a minute so the demo will be quicker. And by creating, we will go on with this screen. That's the interesting part. Here we can define a cache capacity. Why a cache? Because we are going to see in the file directory a folder representing the status of our public cloud. So all files in that folder are saved on the cloud, but could be also saved on the machine. Every time we access a file, it's cached and synced. It means that we are going to download all the files until we reach the cache capacity that we are defining here. So when we reach the cache capacity, the hybrid mount will just delete the oldest file downloaded and just keep it on the cloud. We can also define a reserved cache here that is a special kind of cache with a maximum priority in which all files will be cached, downloaded, and kept on the machine. Of course, also on the cloud, but they will be kept on the machine, so they are immediately available. We can open it right away with no delay and update them and synchronize them with the remote. Okay, we click the create and we are saving the configuration. So we can just proceed and see, put our hands in the directory and see what's happening behind the scenes. The wizard will take a while. Here is creating some indexes and database, and now it's complete. Let's minimize the page and open the file station. Okay, here we can see that we have our public folder. We're not seeing yet the directory of the object storage because it's still ongoing. It's still doing stuff in the background. Okay, here it is. That's free compatible. It's empty because the bucket is empty. We can create a folder. Let's create a couple of folders in here and see if on the console we are seeing some changes. Let's create an high priority folder and a low priority folder. And by opening the bucket, we can see that we already have those folders synchronized immediately. Of course, also the other way around is true. If we upload some files from the console, we will be able to see them on the QNAP, because the synchronization is happening in both directions. And now we want to specify some priorities on that folders, and that's the power of hybrid mount. So let's go into the configuration of the folders we mount. Let's click on cache priority, and let's give to the high priority folder always keep in reserved cache, and to the low priority folder a low priority. What does it mean? The high priority folder will always keep the files synchronized with remote, but also cached on the QNAP. So if we scroll right, we can see the status here from the symbol, cached and synced. It means that the files is already accessible. We can open it, we can edit it, like right away. Instead, for the low priority folder, here we can scroll and see that the status is cloud only. It means that it's only present on the cloud, and if we try to open it, we need some time to download it. This is a small file, but as you saw, it took a bit to download it. And now that we downloaded it, it's cached and synced. So this file will be cached until we reach the max capacity of the cache, of course. And that's the power of hybrid cloud. We are using both private and public cloud without strict boundaries, as we did for the Synology. And this is a different solution, and it really depends on your need for which solution you want to implement. If you want to just to save the content of your machine on external cloud, probably the Synology is the best fit. If you just want to have files synchronized and access them like really quickly, probably this could be a nice solution for you. So that brings me to the end of the demo. I will just proceed with the Q&A question and give back the word to Mariangela.
Thank you, Tommaso, for your presentation. I think it's going to be very useful for a lot of our viewers. Okay, so now we are entering in our Q&A, as you already said, session. So please write down all the questions or curiosity you might have in our Q&A or in our chat box, let's say. Okay, before going there, and just in the meanwhile that you are writing, I will quickly remind you that here Marco just displayed the yeah, thank you, Marco. Displayed two very important slides. So the first one is upcoming events. The next one actually in January 25th of January, so next week. It's gonna be actually an Italian webinar, but for those of you who understand or speak Italian, it's gonna be about digital sovereignty and cloud. Again, in the following weeks, we are gonna have again English held, let's say, webinars and demos. The other important slide that Marco displayed was the one with the QRN code to book, as I was saying also at the beginning of the presentation, a call, let's say, a discussion with us of the business development and sales team to better understand your needs. We are gonna, of course, send all of this to you also through email, as we said. And I would say, without further ado, let's go to the questions. I see one question at the moment, a question from Arnold, that says, will you also cover how to claim local Cubbit cells onto QNAP? I would say that this is a question for our support and technical team. I don't know, Tommaso, if you want to add something about it, but for sure our technical and support team is the best, let's say, channel to ask that.
Yeah, you don't need probably to claim cells anymore, since we deprecated that part. Now you will, if you buy the service, you will just be provided with the public swarm or already made of many nodes. So you won't need to claim it by yourself.
Yeah, just to give you some more information about it, for all the new clients, Cubbit as of today is basically a SaaS solution, so you don't need any hardware to make it work. For our, let's say, initial customers and clients and supporters, of course, as maybe Arnold, you are, of course, you will be able to keep your cell, and definitely, if you still have to claim it, if you for whatever reason didn't claim it yet, the technical support is the right channel to better understand how that works. Okay, let's wait for some more questions, if any. We actually already exceeded our time, but I would just give maybe 1 or 2 minutes to see if there are any questions. But as we said already, all of this will be sent to you. We know that maybe sometime the demos might be a bit fast to follow if you didn't know already let's say the activities, right? All the steps to connect QNAP and Synology with Cubbit, but you will be able to rewatch it again slowly with the link we're gonna send you.
I also invite you to take a look at our docs, which are really well written and really deep, where they go really deep into any agent configuration. So not just the NES, but any other integration you need. And here you can find the link in the comments.
Yeah. Thank you, Marco, again for supporting us from backstage and for sharing all the useful links that our viewers might need. Okay, this being said, I think there are no more questions. Maybe we've been extremely clear in all the passages, but if we've not, of course, again, please use this code you see here displayed. We are gonna have a talk together with you, just, in a smaller crowd. And again, thank you all for joining us today. We will wait for you for our next and upcoming events. And see you next.
Bye, everybody.